Oh, do you have any people in your life that are doing the same thing they were doing 15 years ago?
Absolutely.
You know what I call those people? You know what I call those people? I call those people Peter Pans.
Oh, wow.
Because they're the boy they never wanted to grow up.
Wow.
Right? And at some point, the way I live my life, and I don't know if you've heard Kevin Hart or Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock, but I've heard comedians allude to this where they talk about how they're doing successful or whatever in their life, and they only want to associate with people that are doing new things and fun things and outside the box stuff. And if you're doing the same thing you were doing when we were 18, like I kind of don't have time for that anymore. And not that I'm like so busy or above you, but it's like, bro, you're in your 40s. Like that's, I'm talking about for us, like we're in our 40s now. I'm not doing the same thing that I was doing when I was 22 years old, when I was 18 years old. No, I'm not going to, the bar on 3rd Street, right? Like, no, we're not going there. 330 Rich. I'm not hitting it up. I'm not going to the club. That's not what I'm going to do.
Nothing wrong with going to the club. Shout out to my boy Bill the Beast out there, who's still getting them checks from the club. Hey, Team Hennessy.
That's part of his job. It's different. You know what I mean? But I look at him like I'm trying to do different things at this point in my life. And I look at Draymond Green, and it's like he can't listen to the message, so he's instantly in denial mode, and he refuses to look in the mirror even a little. No one is saying you need to alter your on-court play. We're saying some of the stuff, you take it a little too far. And the fact that he is unwilling to listen, I should have already tapped out on it. It's just, I'm like, dude, come on, man. You're in denial.
Here's Draymond Green on past suspensions Sunday and not admitting fault.
To continue mentioning like, oh, well, what he did in the past, I've paid for those. Like I got suspended in Game 5 of the finals. So you can't keep suspending me for those actions. But in saying that, I'm also not one to admit when I'm at fault. It is what it is. I think, for me, anytime there's a situation and a teammate needs you to come to their defense, I'm going to come to their defense, and that's just that, especially with someone that I've been playing with for 12 years. That's more than a teammate. That's a brother. And things can be interpreted how people interpret them. I'm not really here to judge people's interpretations or try to change them. They are what they are. But I know for me, I'm going to always be there for my teammates. And that's who I am. That's who I am as a teammate. That's who I am as a friend. If I'm your friend, I'm going to be there for you. Right, wrong, or indifferent. You look to your side, I'll be right there, if not in front of me.
Now, here's the one that hit me from Sunday, Draymond Green.
I don't live my life with regrets. Like I said before, I'll come to a teammate's defense anytime that I'm in a position to come to a teammate's defense. That's what a team is. You stick together through the good and the bad. And I take that to heart. I take pride in being a good teammate. That's when I step in here every single day, that's number one on my list, to be a good teammate. Number one. I think that takes care of a lot of things. So I take pride in that.
As much as I love Day-Day, and as much as he's done for this community and this organization, and don't get me wrong, he's playing good basketball this season when he's on the court. But you can't be a good teammate when you constantly get ejected and you constantly push that line. And you can't say your number one priority is being a good teammate when what happened last year happened. And we know what happened last year at training camp. We can't unsee it. We can't undo it. Can't get away from it. And Draper just touched on it. Did that situation fracture the locker room? Absolutely it did. Absolutely. You can't be a leader when you do that. Antonio Daniels yesterday on Sirius XM Radio on the NBA show with Rich Kambla. He used to do NBA TV back in the day, does Atlanta radio, Sirius XM. And Antonio Daniels said, look, man, leaders are like David Robinson and Tim Duncan. They come to work on time, they practice hard, and they lead by example. Steph Curry does that. Kevon Looney does that. Chris Paul, what do you know? He's doing that. You can't be a leader when you're that boisterous, and whenever things go haywire, you're in the middle of it, and then you don't take accountability for it. That's a problem. That's a problem. So, you say you're a good teammate and a good leader. That's not leadership. You don't want Kuminga following that path. You don't want Moody following that path. You don't want TJD and Brandon Podziemski following that path. So when you say you're a good teammate, and then we see what's happened this year alone, hell, one weekend, you get kicked out of the Cleveland game, you start talking to Anthony Davis, and then you try to put Rudy Gobert in the sleeper hold. That's not being a good teammate. That's destroying your team. That's not, and I love Draymond Green, and I get what he's trying to do, but you're that guy. You now have a bullseye on your back.
But that's the part I think he doesn't understand. So, like, he said on the first cut that, why am I still getting judged off things I've done in the past? I was arrested multiple times, okay, in my early 20s. It took me close to a decade to shake the stigma of that. I had to do good deeds over the top for over a decade for the majority of people to want me in their home, for example. There were so many people's parents that looked at me the side-eyed a certain way, and it took a long time for me to shake that stigma. So, like, him not understanding that you are a part of your past transgressions. When people talked about Myles Garrett for a long time, what's the first thing they brought up?
The helmet swing.
Which is the lowest point in his life to that point. He's been a model guy outside of that. It's taken a long time for him to shake that stigma. Now we're talking about the player on the field.
I guess it depends who you talk to, right? I mean, Draymond Green has a long laundry list. I hear what you're saying when it comes to Myles Garrett. I guess it depends who you talk to.
I'm just using it as
I got over it quick because I understand
I did too.
Mason Rudolph kind of instigated the situation, so he retaliated, and the guy who is second in that scrum always gets penalized, right?
But he has a laundry list of good deeds, is what I'm saying, Myles Garrett, where he's been a good
deeds.
Exactly, and he has been recommended by the league as one of the spokesmen for the Cleveland Browns. Like I think he was a part of the Walter Payton, what do they call it, the Good Person Award or whatever it is.
Man of the Year.
What is it?
Man of the Year.
Man of the Year, exactly. So he's done a lot of stuff in the community to kind of get rid of that stigma. Those things are there for a reason, and it's going to take a long time for you to shake them. And when you have stuff happening every single year, well, that's on you.
Yeah,
and if you can't acknowledge that and recognize that, well, then you're kind of delusional.
Well,
and this is just who the guy is.
Well, here's what he said. He has to, when it comes to adjusting.
They made it clear that they're going to hold everything against me that I've done before. So they've made that clear. That's okay. Need to adjust where I see fit, where my teammates see fit, where my coaches see fit, our front office sees fit. The people that I care about, that I trust, that when I hear them say something, it means something to me. And that's all the people that's in here in this grind every day.
And then when Rudy Gobert talked about him after the game, said, I knew he was going to try to get kicked out because Steph didn't play, blah, 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 blah. Here's Draymond Green's response to Rudy Gobert's comments.
You have sort of a history with Rudy Gobert. Did you see his comments after the whole tussle? And what do you think about what he said, if you did?
I mean, it's 2023. You see everything these days. What's my comment about what he said?
Tick, 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 tick.
Yay!
Tick, tick.
No comment is a comment, right? All right, cool.
Now, that was funny.
That was hilarious.
That part was funny. That part was funny. And I have no problem with him having side beefs and stuff like that. Like, everybody hates Rudy Gobert in the league. Like, it's not exclusive to just Draymond. But it's the other stuff. Being, like, I'm a big believer in self-awareness, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, and just understanding, like, how people are viewing you. And there are times that it really helps Draymond Green to be so clueless in terms of awareness of how others view him. And then other times it's a huge detriment.
And he's no dummy. Draymond Green is no dummy. The guy's a smart individual. He's a smart basketball player. He's a smart human being. So he's aware of this. But there's something that just snaps where he just goes full day and he becomes a Saginaw Savage and he just starts, like, even the Cleveland game, he gets kicked out and he's running in front of the crowd. He's doing the whole WWE thing. We saw this in the Memphis series. We don't even talk about the Brandon Clark situation. We don't even, like, it's wild to me that we're in year 12 and you can't be the same player anymore.
No.
We need you to be a leader. All right? And you can't lead when you're not on the floor.
We just need slight maturation and slight emotional control. Slight. We're not even asking for all the way emotional control. We're like, just don't drag the guy 10 feet across the court. I'm dead serious. It sounds absurd to say.
No, it was.
When it comes out of my mouth that way, I sound like an idiot.
No, it looked absurd to watch.
Exactly.
We were just settling into our seats at the gay house saying, wait, what's going on here?
You know what my mom said? That reminded me of a fight between you and my brother, like me and my brother, that she had to break up back in the day. Let him go. Don't knock over the refrigerator. She couldn't believe how long he held on to him. This is my mom. Yeah, she loves Draymond.
It was wild. Well, the image of Steve Kerr saying, Let him go. 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 And I did. And shout out to my boy Big John and Yusuf, the security guards who had to break that up.
Dude, that guy.
I see both of them after the fact.
Man.
I see both of them after the fact.
Can I give you another one?
I can't reveal that conversation on there. Boy, it was hilarious to hear from them. Oh boy.
They're the same record that they were last year after 17 games. Same record. Do you feel any different?
I'll answer that after we get a special guest on the air.